Hello, my name is Charles Davis. I want to welcome you to the God Principles. This video is going to be about the human paradigm shift. Are you being left behind? My name is Charles Davis, and the God Principles, we're going to cover today some concepts and ideas that you may notice happening in humanity. First, I want to read you this Bible verse. It's from Luke 12:53 in the King James. It says this: "The father shall be divided against the son, and the son against the father, the mother against the daughter, and the daughter against the mother-in-law against her daughter-in-law, and the daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law." That's from the Bible. But there's something else you need to understand. Okay, Google, what is a paradigm shift?
According to Wikipedia, a paradigm shift is a fundamental change in the basic concepts and experimental practices of a scientific discipline. It is a concept in the philosophy of science that was introduced and brought into the common lexicon by the American physicist and philosopher Thomas Kuhn.
All right, I'm going to repeat that in case you didn't hear it clearly. A paradigm shift is a fundamental change in the basic concepts and experimental practices of a scientific discipline. In 2015, the World Economic Council produced a report saying that video content will cause a paradigm shift that humanity has never seen. I'm going to give you some other examples of shifts that have caused traumatic events in humanity. For one, when you look at when the radio came about, there was a shift in communication patterns. Then came TV, there was another shift. There was the telephone, there were another shift. These have all caused changes in human communication patterns. Here's another idea. The human body, if it loses, let's say, its eyesight, we know that the body is going to compensate for the information that is missing. It's going to fill in the blanks automatically. Other parts of your senses are going to make up for the communication that is necessary. In technology, when we implemented emails, and we still have this problem today that when we send an email, we have to be careful how we compose it, because we don't know how the other person will receive it, and they will read emotions into the email that may not really be there. Like, for instance, let's say if you capitalize something or you bold it, our mind automatically translates it to yelling or emphasis. Let me ask you this. Have you ever read an email from someone that you know personally, and in your mind, you actually heard it in their own voice? That's what this is all about here. But here's the thing. Your brain can't miss something it never had. See, our children are going through a transcendent period in humanity. They're not going to have all of these emotional signals to be able to recognize communication patterns. They're not going to have it. So their body and their mind is going to automatically adjust to something because it was never there to begin with. That's what you're going to see. That's why you see so many people talking about how bad social media is. No, what you're seeing is you're used to certain communication signals, listening to a person's voice, seeing their face, all these other things that our brain has become accustomed to formulate a meaning of what is being communicated. That's why you see some people saying social media is destructive. They're checking out of social media. Those people are being left behind. Humanity is going through a transcendent period due to video content, and everybody on this planet has access to a smartphone. So now we're seeing the advent of narcissistic behavior, the breakdown of relationships between men and women because they have a narcissistic view of reality. It's not measuring up to what they've been educated into. It's changing. And now what we're seeing is we have enough information to see reality. One of the things that has come out of this is we notice that women choose a small portion of men that they deem attractive and they want to sexually pursue them. We're seeing those statistics happen on the dating apps, on Instagram, OnlyFans. All of these communication patterns are now being monitored with technology, and we're going through a transcendent period in humanity, and it's going to be destructive. You know how I noticed this? There were two incidences that I noticed a difference with my nephew and his children. At 3 years old, you can give them a touchpad and they will figure it out. They're developing on a mental level that's going to surpass their adults. They're developing a communication style. You look at it, you see with the acronyms and the abbreviations are coming. They're developing a new form of communication, new words like LOL or SMH. Those acronyms are actually a language that they're developing, and if you're not familiar with them, you'll get left behind. They could be talking about something and you will never know it. The other reason I noticed this is I'm here in Cebu, Philippines, and it's a stark difference as far as when you see the society. Here in Cebu, Philippines, they're about 2 decades behind in their development. They're listening to the music from the 80s and 90s. They're not even caught up with current music. What they deem popular here, they're singing Whitney Houston, Luther Vandross. They do a lot of karaoke here, but they also have not had access to modern levels of technology. Even though they have smartphones, they're limited because the technology is too expensive for them to use on a regular basis. So they have to supplement it with normal partying. They'll get out and have a whole party based on karaoke music. Instead, where we would sit up there and spin music, they'll have these karaoke songs and they'll get up and sing. So they've developed a form of communication fit for this environment, but it's not quite that of modern societies. The last piece of this is that science, and I covered this in another video, science has discovered that the planet is changing. It's called the resonance of the planet. The solfeggio tones are going from 7 point something to 11 point something, and during this period there's going to be a lot of turmoil, disturbances. Some people are going to be left behind in that aspect too. If they're not meditating to go through these emotional disturbances, because our body is mainly water and it's going to be disturbed by the changing of the resonance of the planet, because we walk on this planet and that resonance actually resonates through our body. You can see this when you direct sound at a glass of water. You see the waves. That's the same thing going on in our body. And if you have mental issues, emotional issues, you may not be able to make that transition. Now, if you want to know more about the paradigm shift, how you can adjust, click like, click share to this video, and follow the God principles. And on YouTube, I will have some meditation techniques that I found to be helpful to make this transition. It's about 8 to 12 weeks of meditation practices that will allow you to soothe your emotional state, to calm your mind down, and actually make this transition successfully for you and those around you. Hopefully you've got some value out of my content. I put a lot of work into this. My name is Charles Davis. This is the God Principle.